Hello there. Welcome to another edition of On Point. And thanks to our mother company, Focus on Liberia. I am your host, Jerome Gaiman from South Florida. We are in studio with my brilliant co-host, Mr. George Tully from the beautiful country of Canada. I don't know what the weather like, but he looks comfortably seated. Mr. Tully, how are you doing? And how's the family?
I'm doing well, Jerome, and the family is good. The weather here is okay. Is
Beautiful.
it's kind of it's not hot yet. We're not going to see very warm weather maybe until the beginning of June. So um, we are still within what today is around what 14 degrees Celsius. I don't know what was the conversion into Fahrenheit of head, but maybe around 64, 65, around there, or 60, or anywhere less than that. So I think less than 60, maybe in the 50s.
Thank,
The weather is cool, so it's nice being here, man.
thank you very much, and thank you for being with us. This one is going to be very hot, very interesting, and let's get straight to the point. For the past year and a half, we have actually for the past 3 years, we have been talking about how to take down the indomitable lions of Africa. We are talking about the president of the Republic of Liberia, Dr. George Weah, the beloved president of the people of Liberia. Today we have a breaking news. There is a news out of Liberia that says Mr. Alexander B. Cummings has agreed to finally be the number 2 to Joseph Boakai for the upcoming election 2023. The topic today will be the CPP Boakai-Cummings ticket and its future government. And we are going to be talking about the governance. We are going to be talking about character. We are going to be talking about integrity. We are going to be talking about economy. We're going to talk about the impact of this particular ticket. Can it actually accomplish what they intend to accomplish by defeating the mighty coalition for democratic change? Mr. Tully, your take.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I'm still trying to verify this news yet, so uh, I won't be excited. I won't allow myself to get excited or to get carried away by it until I can verify it, independently verify it. Right. So that's why I'm like trying to reach out to folks right now to get to see if there's any veracity to the news. But like I said, and I said it on was it a couple of weeks here or on the Tough Talking Thursday. I said a consensus will suit the CPP more than going into the primary. We cannot look at democracy and the way it's practiced in the West and insist that we will have the same practices in Africa. The two doesn't just jam. We still have issues of structures. Our democratic systems and structures, our democratic institutions are not well established. The lines of distinction are not well drawn and maintained. So as a result, we have to look at politics within our context and see what suits us best. And the feedback I'm getting now regarding this is that it's not true. So I don't know, where we got the news from.
Well, whether the news that we have is factual for now, we know, like in our Liberian parlance, where there's smoke, there's fire. So we agree that there's something brewing here, because I know even you have actually postulated at some point that the general consensus method that you talked about, we have some cultural connotation. Yes, some Western attachment to it is that we meet in the Palaver hut and we decide which one of our children, our sons, our daughter, has a stronger chance in being in succeeding. In the West, we do that. I got twin girls. They both, one want to be lawyer, one want to be doctor, and all that. That's what kids do. But what I did was brought a professional person to look at what these kids want to do. And then look at their grades from kindergarten to where they are. And then they made some suggestions as to where and which one of these children and what field of study they would do very well in. So I understand where you are coming from. But for those of us who have fought for years for a pure democracy, let the people have a voice. You are now telling me that the True We Party had it right all along when they said, we go in our caucuses, in our Masonic temple, and we bring forth who we think is a better candidate, and we put that person forth, despite the absence of the voices of the people. And you are saying that, to some degree, is a better format for our societal agreement. Is that true? Is that where you were coming from?
To a degree. I may not fully agree with the results, but to a degree, they are the stakeholders, they are the most powerful people. I don't want to go into the True Party because there were other issues that it was single party rule of government. So it's a little bit different. Here is a coalition of 4 political parties, okay, and there are alignments within the party. Now, instead of allowing all the rancor and all the disagreements to, separate the party, the coalition, and bring about, some animus and that will cause, the fracturing of the coalition, whatever can be done to ensure that they remain together as a unit and they present a single front against the CDC in 2023, I will support it. I will support it because we all know, like right now, there's rancor within the Liberty Party. What happened within the Liberty Party? They went to a convention. Some people question the legitimacy of the convention. Then the convention was held, and the votes were cast. And at the end of the day, Musa Bility won the election, and so that is now we're not even satisfied with the result. You see where we are. We say let's have a electoral primary process or convention where a particular candidate is voted for, and then when the result comes, I say, oh, the man is corrupt. But it's the will of the people. If you look at it, it's the will of the people. What do we say? Okay, if the man money is good enough for you to take, then and you allow him on the ballot, then you should also be ready to take his candidacy or his leadership. That is my point. I'm not saying it's the perfect picture. I'm against it, but what can I do is the will of the people. If you look at it from the will of the people. So at the end of the day, look at CDC, for instance. All along, George Weah has been the most popular candidate. Nobody wanted to waste their time to run against George Weah to get the standard bearership of the CDC. Was an exercise in futility. If somebody contested against George Weah to get the CDC primaryship, to get the CDC nomination, you're just wasting your money and your resources. Okay, in 2011, when Winston Tubman contested as the primary candidate for CDC, it was something that was done. George Weah was told, look, man, go and invest yourself invest in education, your time in education, try and get some education, which he didn't do anyway, but that is another discussion for another day. He got credentials, and there's no real translation of the credential into himself. Hence, we see the struggles he's dealing with right now, that they can't even do small things. So the only thing they want to do is to resort to capital projects, because it's the easiest thing, get somebody to put up you point out something that needs to be done. You get people to tender bids, and at the end of the day, you choose a particular contractor and they get it done. That's not governance. Governance is more than that. Governance is helping to improve the material well-being of the people. It's healthcare, it's agriculture, it's education, it's security, and infrastructure. And those things require the nitty-gritty, getting down there, getting the people involved, building human capital, all these little things. So it's different. So we need to understand that our context is different. We may not fully agree with the process and the results, but at the end of the day, we something gets done.
Okay, well, let me hold you to that, because you are saying, even though we frown on it during the day, you are saying it is good because we have gone from 1 to 4. So from one political party making all the decisions to 4 political parties in some kind of collaboration,
yeah,
trumps the will of the 4.5 or 5 million people in Liberia in determining their future and who leads them. Am I hearing you right? Or am I reading too much into what you were saying?
Yeah, you're reading too much because it's not a 4.5 million. These parties do not really, the decision makers in these parties do not consider the will of the national populace. It is an arrangement, and then the clash of wills and popularity and all within that setting. So it doesn't really take into consideration the national stuff. No, for now, is what they can put forth, the most agreeable candidate they can find that can be able to gather enough votes and support on the national stage. Okay, and in Liberia, you know how it is. Most of the people are not even concerned about their involvement in the political rancor, the day-to-day politics. No, they only one when the time comes, they see a particular candidate, they go and vote. They won't be bothered. So few persons, even in America, is always the few that make the most decision, and that's
Okay,
it.
George, let me bring you to a point here. Usually, you are a man that preach. We are talking about integrity. We are talking about credibility. We talk about transparency. Those are things. Those are values that you and I value. That we think that a leader should bring to the table. Now
Yeah,
let's go back to the genesis of the two candidates. We know who Joseph Boakai is. We have been around Joseph Boakai for years. We know who he is. We saw a new guy come onto the scene by the name of Alexander Cummings.
yeah.
He said that he was all about integrity, transparency, and the will of the people. And those were his pillows. And he told the Liberian people that he was here to serve them and will serve them in the capacity of being number one and nothing else, because he believes that the changes he wants to bring to Liberia can be only done from the number one position. Now we are hearing today that he has accepted or going to accept being number two to Joseph Boakai in hope of coming closer to his dream of being president of Liberia. What does that say about his integrity for a man who says he was absolute in his decision making to flip flop in the down movement? Does that show desperation?
No, it's not desperation. It's it's the reality of things. If there is any veracity or any substance to this news, like I said, is a welcoming situation for us. Why? Because at the end of the day, uh, a man will make whatever choice he makes that best suits him. He has to play his cards. He has to put his options on the table and look at it and look at where I am. If it's true, like I said, if it's true, there's one of the best news to ever emerge out of Liberia, because the truth here is, uh, it is best that I position myself in this way so that I can I can I can be close to power than for me to oppose and then be left out of it. And then, because if I really, really, really want to help the Liberian people to be a blessing to them, to make sure that their lives are improved, then I need to understand, I need to take into consideration I'm either out or I'm in. Because as much as my political party that I love, um, it has one of the largest constituencies in the CPP. Cummings can look at it and say, listen, if I go as vice president, I'm one step away from power. My boss is already old. Um, and I'm very sure he would not want to run a second 6-year term. So, what do we do? If I position myself here, the Liberian people will get to see me, like I said earlier. I don't know if it was this show or the other show. Uh, Having a memorandum of understanding that establishes me as an executive vice president, like in a situation with Walter Mondale in America, a vice president of consequence, not just a figurehead. And it puts me in that position where I can articulate my views and my ideology, and I can help in the system in governance, and I can make sure that I'm very visible, so that when my boss steps off the stage, I will replace him, and people will see that I'm his replacement, and that we will carry on the same projects and proposals and plans that we develop under his leadership, and there'll be a continuation. That even forces a government to behave well, because the vice president has his eyes on the presidency, and he knows that he will have to merit the votes from the people. That's the only thing I would look at from that perspective.
Well, you know, I appreciate you trying to kind of beat around the bush. The Liberian man said, what does that say about a man when we talk about integrity and principle-minded man? He claimed to be. What happens to his principle and his integrity for flip-flopping? A man who said, absolutely, I am the answer to the Liberian problem. I have the answer. And I cannot go number two because I cannot do anything. The number two position is only ceremonial. I cannot do anything. I cannot spearhead policy. I can make decisions. I cannot do that. Only for him to flip flop. Because remember, this may be his third time flip flopping when he said he was anti-corruption. He wouldn't hang or talk or associate with anybody who he found to be corrupt. Yet and still, he supported the most corrupt human being in the Republic of Liberia that have been convicted by the lower court and affirmed by the Supreme Court. We are talking about Brian Samakai. And then on top of that, he hangs with Musa Ability, whom he calls one of his best friends. These are people that if anybody said that they are people of integrity, people that have principle, I think these are folks that I wouldn't associate myself with and then call myself somebody of integrity and principle. And then to make matters worse, he flip-flopped on his most important principal position, which is I am the savior of Liberia and nothing else will do. But when push came to shove, he is. Now, I want you to answer that question. And after that, we are going to move to the second part. What does he bring to the people? Answer these questions first. What does that do to his principle? And how do the Liberian people now listen to him, take him seriously after flip-flopping 4 times?
Jerome, it's not flip-flopping. Those are, in the political sphere in Liberia, you have to you support CDC. And there have been many allegations against George Weah, against Twe, against McGill. I personally wish that McGill and Twe were out of the picture in terms of George Weah, because I think then he will be able to listen to sound advice and senior voices that will help him govern well. These guys have hijacked his presidency, but you support them. And I know you to be a man of principles. And because in that situation, you look at the overarching picture, not just the picture of people accusing these two men. I'm your co-host. I don't even like the ground they walk on. I can't stand them because I know they are two devious, very evil men. Okay, one there believes that he's even the president and he can kill anybody he wants to kill. I'm telling you, I don't mince words when it comes to these two guys. Okay, they've hijacked George Weah. They've put him in a particular position. They've isolated him away from his vice president. These guys have done a lot of damage. They're even more dangerous than Gray. Gray, who are considered to be very, 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 very difficult to deal with, are considered to be a moderate when it comes to Twe and McGill, especially with greed, the level of greed. Gray is not a greedy person.
Yeah,
let me go ahead.
Mr. Trey, thank you for the deviation, but now go to the question.
I'm going to the question. So I'm just saying, in that deviation, it's the same thing. You support these people, and nobody accuses you of losing your integrity. The same way that the political field in Liberia is very, very narrow. If you go there and say the only people I will deal with in the political field, or only way people are allowed to support me, are those who haven't worked in government or done anything with government, you will have no followers, because the government is the highest employer. Almost everybody of political consequence in Liberia have either worked for the government or have dealt with the government. And to deal with the government in Liberia means you come out dirty, you come out solid, because there is nothing that you would do that will stop you from being corrupt. You must have to deal with some kind of thing that creates the perception, even not the reality, but just the perception of corruption. So when you look at Ellis Cummings, I'm not his apologist, but I will tell you this: Ellis Cummings have not lost any credibility by dealing with Liberty Party, because the man he dealing with Liberty Party chairman is Musa Ability. Musa Ability answers for himself. So in this situation, when he comes to flip-flopping, he didn't flip-flop. A wise man changes. If I say I'm the only answer, and I realize that even though I'm the best answer for Liberia, but my chances of being elected on my own merits is slimmer than me going and joining forces with somebody else who is more popular than me, I think, and I really want to help my people, I would join you, especially when I know that you have there are no allegations against you in terms of corruption, no substantial or sustainable allegations against you in terms of corruption. I will join you, and then because you're already old, and then I can take over after you leave. And I can help my people in the long run. Or I will sit on the side and be talking as a politician for the rest of my life, while other people who do not have the best the nation at heart will end up being the ones that will lead. So it's a choice.
Well, you still didn't answer my question. How should the Liberian people look at this man as a flip-flopper, a man
But that's
who
why I say he did not flip flop. So
but
I don't need to ask.
he came in as an absolutist. He said, I am the answer and nothing else would do besides number one. And already, like you said, so before when he came into Liberian politics, was he stupid? I know you said wise man change it.
No, but they didn't say
so
stupid man change. They said a wise man.
That's what I'm saying. So when he came in, he was stupid. According to your best friend,
a wise man changes. He was wise enough.
This is becoming a trend in the opposition. I remember when Mr. Musa Belete became the chair for Liberty Party, the man who was his campaign manager, Dara Dillon, who was supposed to be the light and the mayor of integrity, said, we need to give people a second chance because this man was once Saul, but now he's Paul. So I'm hearing you now being more intellectual than Dara Dillon, saying the wise man changes. There are no Puritans in Liberia, so we should make our best fellows politically with who's available. So I'm hearing that. Are you saying the Liberian people should not take character and integrity?
No. You're getting me wrong. Don't get me wrong. In voting for the key political or leader in Liberia, character, honesty, accountability, integrity, all counts. But I'm saying to you today that as a political operator running a political party, if you put up a sign that says, if you work with government or have anything to do with a contractor for government, whatever, do not come here. We don't need your services, because it's either you have the perception of corruption over your head or you actually have committed acts of corruption. So we don't want to deal with you. You will remain. The people that will come to you will be people who will not have consequence, will not be of consequence in the political landscape. So my point here is, how can you bring about change in Liberia? You cannot bring about change with all your integrity, with all your credibility, with all your character. You cannot bring about change when you are on the outside. So I don't care how much scruples Cummings has. He will not change a single community in Liberia if he stays on the outside. So, and to get inside, you will have to go through corrupt people. You will have to form alliances with corrupt people. It's just the reality. Liberia as a community, as a nation, is a corrupt nation. But as a reformer, when you come, and one thing I know about Liberian people, they're easy to change. If you came to power and you establish structures and systems and set up standards, you set up standards and say, this is how we will operate as a government, the people will fall in line because they will see that the head has no tolerance for such things. So this is my point of view. My point of view here in this is this: it's not black and white here when it comes to politics in Liberia. You have to deal with people who have worked the government. You have to deal with people who have cut deals. You have to deal with people who have stolen money. You can't say, I don't want any of you to come, because the people that will come to you will not take you to the place. They don't have any influence in it nationally. They will not take you there.
But let's look at this from another point.
Yeah.
If I came to you and told you, George Tully, I am who I am, and this is what I am, and then later on it turned out that I am not who I say I am, am I a liar?
Oh yeah, you're a liar.
Okay. So we agree that Cummings lied.
No, he has not changed. His personality has not changed. His character has not changed. Oh, hey, I want to say something. Going under Joseph Boakai has affected nothing about Cummings' credibility. I'm the solution, but then I sit down. I look at the overarching need. I look at the overarching yard, the political landscape, and I realize that if the elections are held and I went as a single candidate, and this man had two parties or either just one party or the rest of the people betting behind him, I would be on the outside again. And I really want to do. Let me tell you something. The thing I'm saying to you today, I wish that my political mentor, Charles Bronski, I wish he had done some of this. Because when Liberia needs you, Liberia needs you. What matters is you getting to the place where you can affect policy and change that can improve the material well-being of your people. When you sit on the outside, you can never bring about change. So if you are so pompous and arrogant to the point to say it only has to be me and I cannot work with any other person because I know it all, I'm the most credible person, I'm the person with the most level of integrity, and as a result, if you either have it my way, when you come into me, I don't want to deal with anybody from within the public sector because all of you people are corrupt and blah blah blah. Dear brother, you will die a lonely death. You will spend your resources. You will not get the votes.
Okay, well,
I am not saying. Listen, I don't support Musa Belete. I don't support any corrupt person in Liberia. But when you and I speak with the reality that I see on the ground. Musa Belete is the chairman of Liberty Party. To get a Liberty Party have one of the largest political constituencies in Liberia, you need to if you want to run, because the Liberty Party political leader is not vying for the presidency, you need that party to support you. What are you going to do? Are you going to say, I'm not going to canvass Liberty Party votes because the man that is there is corrupt, so therefore I will not deal with them? You lose that constituency. You lose those votes. So that's just the reality. It doesn't mean I support Belete. I don't like Belete.
Well, in my view, Cummings is a liar. He's going from Paul to Saul. He's actually going in reverse. But now let's move to the next topic here. What does Cummings bring to the table in the expectations of winning the presidency? What does he bring to the table that Joseph Boakai lacks?
Cummings brings the fact that he's far younger than Boakai. Okay, he brings. That's the first thing that comes to the table. This is a man who can run the country, but he's far younger than Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe is far advanced in age, and as a result, there are grounds that Cummings will be able to cover from just the standpoint, the physical point of view, that Uncle Joe may not necessarily be able to cover. And it takes two to tango. And that's what I proposed. I said that if he will run as vice president of Joseph Boakai, there must be a memorandum of understanding that creates the atmosphere that he will operate within as an executive vice president. So he's not just a ceremonial head, but he's a vice president of consequence with actual how you call it, administrative ability and powers, that he can get stuff done, so that he can use his interactions with Liberian people to establish his own bona fides with the people. So at the end of the day, they can see him for who he really is. Okay? Not just a vice president of no consequence, who is just a ceremonial head, who can do the bidding of the president. No. If anything, he should be of the executive vice president that can get stuff done, but in consonance with the overarching political ideology and administrative purpose that they have as a government. But he can function alone. So if you ask me what he brings his youth. Relatively compared to the boss, he brings his youth. He's younger than him, and as a result, he'll be able to cover more grounds. One. Secondly, he brings a wealth of administrative experience, not just within a government setting, but in Coca-Cola, corporate America. You have timelines, you have goals, you have targets. If you don't meet them, you get axed. Simple as that. And there are structures that you work within for years. It becomes a part and parcel of who you are. So he can bring that difference, because Joe Boakai now working corporate America. He doesn't understand. He may not necessarily have what it takes to be able to operate from that perspective, from the corporate mentality. So it's something that Cummings brings that Joe Boakai doesn't necessarily have. You see?
Well, but not to cut you off, the reason that CDC folks will say that your argument is flawed is we have a standing and most recent example of a president that came from corporate America, Donald Trump. And you saw what happened, what he did to this country. Donald Trump brought this country almost to its knees. So what we are saying here, it is clear that working in corporate America that has a structure that is dictatorial is quite different from using your persuasive power to lead. So using Mr. Cummings as an example for corporate America, that argument is false. The CDC will tell you, well, don't look too far. Look at your homeboy Trump that will just keep good out of office. He had a wealth of CEO experience in corporate America. So how can you separate corporate America that is structured to now
Trump
put it into
declared,
government? They may have never run a class office, and here he is. You are saying he will bring his corporate experience to running the government.
Yeah, because Trump declared Trump is not. We don't consider what Trump ran to be corporate America. Maybe for those who work in his organization, Trump was a titular head, a demagogue, even within his own organization, and he failed so many times that he declared bankruptcy 6 times. Trump is in. If not for Russian money, Trump would not be the businessman we know him to be that led him to being the president. He was done financially. The banks in America refused. They had come to a place that no American bank would lend him money. That's how bad it was. Okay, whatever deal that occurred for Trump to continue as a businessman, his lawyer, the lawyer of Deutsche Bank that did the deals with Trump, they say he committed suicide. The banker from Deutsche Bank that did the deals with Trump, they also say he committed suicide. 2 key people from Deutsche Bank. So Trump is not an example of what a businessman should be. He didn't even succeed in politics. So don't even bring him there. This guy was executive vice president for a company that was once the largest corporate conglomerate on the face of the earth. Okay, he was executive vice president, and he did very, very, very well. So what we are saying here, as a man, that's what I'm saying. Don't mix apples and oranges, people.
No, we are not mixing, George, listen, we are not mixing orange and apples here. Now, let me give you another example. You talk about an executive vice president. Let's look at one that just went, the Trump administration. Let's look at Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton. Okay, one of the largest corporations in the world. We are talking about military, you name it. Halliburton covers it all. Dick Cheney served, like you say, as the corporate executive vice president of George Bush. You saw what he did to this country. You saw what Dick Cheney did to this country. So all your examples that you are bringing about corporate America, about being an executive vice president to Joseph Boakai, falls flat on its face because it has never worked. When I work for the United Way, we look for things called best practice. When I'm sitting across the aisle, I'm looking for something that have worked somewhere else. Asking people who are asking me for grant when I sit on that committee, the question we ask is this a best practice? The answer better be yes. The next question is, where have this worked? From what you are telling me, what you are proposing is an experiment. It is not a best practice. If it has been a best practice, tell me where this have worked.
Walter Mondale was executive vice president of Liberia. He was in America. He was the first president, the vice president of consequence. He just passed on. May his soul rest in peace. The man was the first executive vice president in the United States of America in that sense, because he was the first vice president of consequence. Now, what am I saying here? You cannot, Halliburton, as much as you can consider them part of corporate America, we all know that as a defense, their mean business come out of defense, the defense department as contractors for the defense department, and we all know that it is all shrouded in a lot of secrecy and is basically trying. I mean, is what the word we use? a company like Halliburton, it's a hawkish extension of white supremacy. That's what it really is. It is a hawkish extension of white supremacy. It's different. This guy worked within a system that he gained a lot of experience. It's just like you coming and we say, okay, because you work in corporate America, you have your own experience. How can you divorce who Cummings is? Cummings has no other experience outside of his life, and his life experience working for Coca-Cola at the level that he ascended to. And we all know what he did there. We all know that he did a very good job, because to maintain that job for such a long time, it means that you had to meet your goals. You know what corporate America is about. It's about meeting your goals. If you can meet your goals, you're a team. If you can't meet your goals, you are let go. It's as simple as that. They go restructure and bring somebody else in. So all these things don't fall flat on any face, okay? Because Dick Cheney, as much as anything, Dick Cheney came as a hawkish vice president with an agenda. And an agenda to build the American military complex, to also go after perceived enemies of America. And in the process, they base all their decisions on lies. And we know how many millions of people have suffered, how many Americans suffer out of this. So it's not the same. But Cummings has something to contribute to Liberia. Cummings has an experience that he brings to the table. He's able to come into the picture and help Liberians with structure. Okay, look, we run government in Liberia as government, and we see what we are. Because running government when you run government as a for-profit organization, you will have better results. That is my point. Because everything you do, all Liberia government does is spend money and waste. So somebody comes in with a corporate mentality. In the corporate zone, at the end of the day, they want to save money because they want their bonuses to be fat. So you will have somebody who will come and say, no, why can't we do it like this instead of the way we have always done it? Because when a fool keeps doing things the same way and expect a different result. So
yes, I'm glad you mentioned that phrase, because when you are talking about the man works in corporate America, first of all, Walter Mondale, you want to name him, you want to consider him executive vice president. Walter Mondale have never held any offices or any office in corporate America. Walter Mondale came from law. He was Attorney General. He worked in government all his life. So he cannot be put into that category. Now you're talking about doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That phrase was introduced in Liberia by Cummings. Cummings himself doesn't even know where that phrase came from, because if he knew, he would have given credit as it is required in journalism, in academia, that when you're using somebody's intellectual property, you got to give them the credit. He claimed that phrase to be his own, which is not. That phrase was used by Albert Einstein. All children in elementary and middle school paraphrase that particular phrase. Mr. Cummings went to Liberia with the naivety, okay, of government, of academia. When you work for Coca-Cola, like when I worked for the United Way, I went in there. They have a structure like a maze. No matter what I did, I had to go through the maze that is there, and they have an established outcome. So there's nothing new I could have done. Yes, they graded me on doing what I was supposed to do. Now we are talking about Cummings. Cummings did nothing at Coca-Cola that we can say it was groundbreaking. He didn't come up with a new flavor. He didn't come up with a new corporate logo. He didn't come up with a corporate name. He didn't come up with another brand. He did what everybody did, what the CDC say he sold sugar water, which is going here and opening a new department and supplying them with more sugar water. That's what it was. And if you did that consistently, we need to open a new branch in Nigeria, you go there and do it. We need a black man to go to South Africa to open one there. No white boy want to go, you go there and do it. We need an office in Zimbabwe. The white boy from Long Island, New York, wouldn't want to go, you go there and do it. For doing that, you get compensated, but you do not make decisions. You do not write policy. You do not do the chemistry. So what is it that he's going to bring to Liberia?
I will bring it back to you. Who in your government right now is making decisions, writing policy that is translating into the lives of the
This
people
is not
at the
about the
level?
government. This is
No, no, no,
about
no, no.
Cummings.
No, no, no,
This
no,
is
no, no, no,
about
no.
Cummings.
You see, you're so good, Bibara, you are so good at pointing fingers at other people why you support CDC. I said it to you the last time, and good thing this is our show, so we can be frank with each other. You look at a man who is how you call it, a frontline operator for a multi-billion-dollar company, and you say it's nothing. The fact that they can even appoint him, they can even select him to go and open an extension in a particular, or an organizational extension in a particular nation. You will not know what it takes to operate in some of these circumstances. You have to be a shrewd businessman. You have to be smart. You have to be able to convince. You have to have the ability to be able to deal with all the different competing mentalities and competing or egos and all of that within the African context and within the international context. This guy did what he was good at.
And that
There is
was,
nobody, hold on, people. There is nobody in the CDC that has a business, that has a profile like Alex Cummings. You agree?
we no, because we're not talking about CDC. And I won't let
But
you
you keep mentioning CDC,
I
so
won't let you to drift. I'm
no,
telling
hold on,
you,
we're not running away from this.
no,
You
we're not
keep
going to
mentioning
drift.
CDC.
Uh-huh.
You keep mentioning CDC. That the boys in the CDC said he was selling Coca-Cola. Okay, we agree, or sugar water. We agree on selling sugar water. Who in the CDC was able to accomplish or to able to amass the kind of experience in any corporate or political or governmental system like him? One
Nobody,
person.
nobody in CDC will accept to sell sugar water and kill people. They would never accept that. Nobody in CDC will go and contribute towards
Oh God,
diabetes
you are
and high blood pressure
funny.
and all of those things. No, nobody in CDC. So you
You
are
are
right.
being,
Nobody in
big
CDC
brother, you are
will
being
want to kill
disingenuous, though.
their own. They want to kill their own people.
You are being disingenuous, though. Do you realistically?
You
Who,
ask.
if until Maggie became Minister of State, if Maggie had the opportunity to even head the local Coca-Cola in Liberia, he wouldn't have jumped on it. That's what you're saying.
No. But anyway, you didn't answer the question
What
why
the question you
why
asked?
Mr. Cummings did not get Albert Einstein the credit or cite him as the source of
I
doing the
don't
same thing
know
over and
about that.
over.
I don't waste my time about those things. For me, they are mundanity.
Oh no,
They're
it
not
tells
germane.
we have been talking
People,
about
they are not
credibility here.
germane. They are not germane to
We
the
are talking
issue.
about credibility. The man
They
flip
are not
flop.
germane
He
to the
flipped.
issue.
No, listen to this. He flip flop first. He says that he would never collaborate or walk in the shadows of corruption, and now he is in bed with corruption. He talked about he would never be number two to anybody because the changes he wants to bring, he can only bring it from the top. He flip flopping on that, and now you are telling me that this now we are looking at this thing now is adding up. It has become a pattern where this man integrity is at stake. And one of my friends, I think the farm, mentioned that the man is desperate. The man is desperate. He can do anything now at this point for power. So at that end, let's go to let go to the actual political geography of Liberia. With Cummings being the number two on this particular ticket, I know we're going to leave time for our comments and we will leave time for conversation. Anybody want to call it, they can do that. But let's go to the real quick. Tell me of the 15 the political geography of Liberia, the 15 counties. Tell me Joseph Boakai did well in every county, and he did win his own hometown, his own home county. Mr. Cummings, on the other hand, lost his own home county and didn't lose. He didn't win one seat. So tell me why he brings to the table, besides what you consider as administrative or corporate experience. Tell me, where does he add extra votes? It's all about numbers now. We are talking about all about numbers. Look around the whole Liberia and tell me where Cummings brings in extra numbers for Joseph Boakai and the 2023 ticket.
And Cummings came fourth in the past election.
He didn't win anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Wait, hold on, big brother. He came fourth, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that means he has people who believe in him. I know a lot of people who believe in Cummings. I myself believe in Cummings. Okay, I myself here, I believe in Cummings. I believe that he's able to provide leadership in Liberia. I believe it. I believe he can do something. Is he my first choice in this arrangement? No, Joseph Boakai is. But I also believe that he's able to do it. And the truth here is, it doesn't matter if he did not win a particular county. That's the reason why we're not saying go as the first place on the ticket, because we realize that Joseph Boakai had more supporters. Even within the Liberty Party, there are more people who will cast the first ballot for Joseph Boakai than will cast the first ballot for Cummings. But that does not erase what he brings to our governance structure. The man brings experience. The man brings their know-how, the ability of how things work. He knows how things work. He's able to knock on doors. He has a pedigree. He has established a name for himself within corporate America. Former vice president for Coca-Cola. It opens doors. It opens doors. All right. It opens doors. And I'll tell you something. In this situation here, Cummings is well positioned. He did not win, we agree, but I can boldly tell you that coming as vice president, he will provide a lot that Joseph Boakai would not be able to provide, because Joseph Boakai, by reason of his age, if he was younger, a 60-year-old Joseph Boakai, I would jump on him right now. Okay, and say
we have time here. The control room has a comment they want to display, but before we go to the comments, let me leave this with you. Joseph Boakai's main supporter, Mr. Costa, referred to Joseph Boakai as a dead man walking. I want you to just keep that in your mind. We'll come back to it. So let's read some.
No, he's not. Before you go to the question, let me tell you something. Costa is not his main supporter.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. As much as Costa has some influence among certain sector in Liberia, Costa is not the main supporter of Joseph Boakai. He will never be the main supporter. The main supporter of Joseph Boakai are the people of Liberia. The main supporter of Joseph Boakai are the people of Lofa primarily. Okay, the lawman, the Bandi, the Kisi, the Mandingo, the Pele people of Lofa County. Those are that is his initial how you call it, a constituency, and then the greater constituency of people of Liberia. We're not depending on Henry Costa for the electability of Joseph Boakai. No way, because you know what? His credibility far extends and is not limited to what he can say. Costa can say. Yeah, Costa has people that will counter his narrative. Trust me on that one when the time comes. Right now we'll be making noise. I can't make noise.
Okay, let's go to the comment section here and let's read some of the comments. Okay, we got Cotton Edge Clem. He said the opposition will collapse in the total defeat. Don't ask me. I am speculating. Cutting Edge again. Consensus building is undemocratic, non-democratic, because it compromises the interests of the voiceless. Cutting Edge is all over you, my friend. Powerful people is a glaring, dangerous recipe for disaster. This guy might have something against you, George Tulin. I support Youngly on gender equity to ensure vibrant political mixture. Tule, you sweeping that under the carpet. He who speaks to equity must come with clean hands. John Mawulo, stop propagating lies. John Mawulo again. Cummings has said nothing and has no intention of doing such. Stop the lies.
So I told you, it has no veracity,
Cutting Edge again. Let Liberty Party be being brought for the second time. What is it? Is Liberty Party being brought for the second time? Is it swapping real time for quick time? Is it that Boakai going to be one-term president, passing the second seat to the Liberty Party? Pro-poor king. Cummings is selfish. if he does that before the primaries. Cutting edge. So Alex should speak to equity since he cannot come with clean hands. Martin Brown. Anywhere you see smoke, don't be surprised that fire is not far behind or far apart. Propo key. Do not put Boakai in situation he can't handle. Marty Brown. So lie shouldn't be your definitive position, your definite position. Bush II. In voting for leaders in Liberia, characters and good morals are not important. What is more important? Popularity, cash, tribal, and religious background. Martin Brown. I think Mr. Cummings has conducted his survey around the country and he's seen the need to bury his ego. I think it is welcoming. Propo King. Silly idea, corrupt people should take the back bench. You can form alliance, but you can't bring corrupt people to the stop. 1 year. This dude is another corrupt element in the country. Listen to his analysis. I don't know who he's referring to.
I think it's his opinion. Everyone has one.
Yeah, everybody has one. Propo King. I am not a Cummings fan, but Cummings is the only option. The only option.
No, he's not.
Cutting edge. Does that suggest that Cummings has failed and he is seeking for rescue? Being greedy for leadership, he can accept any Dick and Harry to be close to the presidency anyhow. Pape, his analysis is in the right direction as it relates to Liberian politics. Cutting edge, the vice president is at the mercy of the president. Well, 1 year, Albert Tappet, you guys in CPP only depending on corruption and nothing you guys can offer. Mandingo Governor Bush II, I like that name. Until we can stop celebrating old age politicians and bring about young visionary Liberians, no matter their tribe or religion, we are bound to fail as a nation and people. Martin Brown, if killers are not taking the backstage in government, what about individuals that are just perceived to be corrupt? You have killers leaning on the side of the government and you embrace them. What about people that are only perceived to be corrupt? I guess that's me. Cutting edge. Corporate does not represent geopolitics. Visit G. Bryant of Liberia. He was business tycoon in Liberia, but he failed miserably at the highest seat in Liberia. Okay, we got Yankun here. Still on the point, it's about Cummings. What extraordinary has he done for Coca-Cola? Question to you.
Yeah, of course, the point of the questions are to me.
Yeah. Why did President we are flip-flop in 2011 when he went out, 2011 when he went as vice president of Mr. Tubman? Because he also said similar thing. Biko or Monk Beko, they are supporting Joseph M. Boakai because of the order of what? The old order of Ellen by paying free money to them while they are not working. Okay. I see Tule, you want to get some old money there. Go ahead, Tule, you read some of this.
JBN and Cummings will destroy the bandits in power in the first round. Joel Taylor Rebel. Tule, keep up the good job. This is what? Gonlepa Dolo. Tule, keep up the good job. Your analysis are unique. Mark Beko rather. What all your competent people has done 170 years? Okay,
Well,
all right.
you
Okay.
saw most of the comments there. I wrote down some, but let's respond to most of it. I know one of the things that you have suggested us to do is to leave time for us to actually put forth some positive idea that will help our country, which is which way forward. Not just criticize and criticize and criticize, but at least we should come up with one or two good suggestions as to how our country move forward. So respond to some of the questions here, some of the comments, and then we'll move forward.
Um, Looking at the comment generally, people were just expressing themselves. One of the things that people are trying to gather from this comment is one of the I won't say a conundrum, but one of the realities. That's the best word to use to describe it. One of the reality within the CPP, the Liberty Party represents electorally the second largest constituency in the CPP, and it is only fair, given that they have the second largest constituency in the CPP, that the vice presidential slot goes to the Liberty Party. It's only fair. It's fair enough. It's a fair request. It's a fair demand. It's a fair proposition that hey, we have this unique position. Whoever wins the ticket between the two frontrunners, they need our support because we have influence within the Bassa Belt. We have influence yeah, okay, outside the Bassa Belt also. Okay, we have people. We have support in Bapolu, support in Kitma, support in Lofa, support in Bon County, support in Nima County, and smattering of support within the southeastern belt. But our main constituency within the Bassa Belt and Montserrat County. All right. So Liberty Party can say, hey, we because of our unique position and what we bring to the table, what we will add, the value we add. Because if you look at it from that perspective, Liberty Party adds more value to the Boakai presidency or the Boakai candidacy in terms of votes than the Cummings vice presidency. If you look at it from that perspective, Liberty Party.
One of the things that I took away from, I think, our audience, from what I'm understanding, we have a poll going. Okay, it's you can participate in the poll, in our opinion poll. Okay, post it in the comment section on Facebook about your feelings, and let us know. The last time we did something similar, we had about. We will show the result. The last time we did it, I think we had about 600 or 700 folks expressing their opinion on this particular subject. What we are saying here, if you made news, you just made news. Actually, the link is being shown. You can go to that and cast your vote for the candidate of your choice. Mr. Tula, you just made news here. A lot of folks were saying, and we know this from our reliable sources on the ground and within the coalition, that Cummings has finally accepted to be number 2 on the ticket. Even though you have not confirmed it, but this is what I got from my reliable sources. You now just made news, and this should be a breaking news, that you are saying, based on the power of the Liberty Party and their strength nationwide, it would make sense that the second position to Joseph Boakai go to the Liberty Party. That means you are asking Mr. Cummings that you just vouched for as an executive vice president. So are you double talking, or you actually mean what you are saying?
Well, you and I, we are just here giving a commentary or analysis of the political landscape. Our views here are not law and order. So, me, I'm a realist. I always say this, right? I'm saying for the CPP, the second largest constituency in the CPP would be the Liberty Party constituency. Okay, and anybody occupying the position of standard bearer from the CPP contesting the 2023 election would love to have Liberty Party on board. It would be an advantage to have Liberty Party on board. So, what does that portend for Cummings? You see why it will be sensible if he can jump ahead of the Liberty Party position and say, hey, as much as Liberty Party have the second most constituency within the CPP, but I am the second most popular politician. Senchai Bromsky is no more, may his soul rest in peace. Okay? He can make that clean now and say, hey, in this CPP, we don't want any rancor, we don't want any dividend, we can build a consensus, we can move forward now. Or he can continue and his people, his ill advisors, those who are ill advising him, they can continue advising him to keep pursuing the full candidacy, and then he loses that, and he loses the vice presidency position or candidacy to Liberty Party. He can continue doing that. I'm a realist. I'm a tactical person. I think very fast. Keep going, and because the truth is this: Liberty Party can say, "Hey, we demand." Liberty Party can say, "We demand the second position in the CPP," and it will be within their rights because they have the second largest constituency.
Yeah, but then here you go again. You are talking. You see, flip-flopping has become the hallmark of you all. You flip-flop on this subject in this room 3 times already. But now that I got
I'm giving you scenarios. It's not
George Tulane
scenarios.
George Tulane, what's your middle initial? Is P, pancake. We flip-flop.
No. I'm cunning.
You're a flip-flopper.
I'm cunning. I'm very great. I'm the descendant of a very great warrior. I'm cunning.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now let's do this. Now, how does this happen? If we wanted to give the second seat, if Joseph Boakai want to be fair and balanced and say, you know what, based on the numerical strength, Liberty Party is second to the Unity Party. So we are going to get a second slot to the Liberty Party. Now, how does Liberty Party decide who comes out of it? Because Yomi Kanga have made it clear that this thing should be gender equity. Yeah. So if Liberty Party it has several women that may want to contest, the chair of the party is saying that she is the chair based on her position as senator, and position as chairman of the second largest political party within the CPP.
Political leader
of the CPP, the second largest party within the CPP. She believes that she deserves to be the number 2 to the number 1, which is Joseph Boakai. How does the CPP develop that? Do they go to a mini primary within, because there may be other people within the Liberty Party that may want to be the number 2? So how do you reconcile that? Do you go to another primary within a primary, or how does that work?
The first thing I would like to let you know that here we are analysts. We are analyzing the situation. We're not flip-flopping, because we are looking at different scenarios that may play out. Okay, primarily I'm a political commentator, so I'm just commentating. If you ask my view on a personal opinion, I would say give the position to my political party, because I have bled for Liberty Party in the past. Not many persons can put their hand or say I lost my blood because on account of Liberty Party. Not many persons can say that. But that is not what we are looking at here. So I'm saying in the right, Liberty Party have the right, the political leader of Liberty Party has the right to say, listen, I control the second largest constituency within the CPP, and therefore, based on also what you mentioned, gender balance, the ticket must have a male and a female. Fine. If that is the situation and that scenario holds, then Liberty Party will have the second slot. And it might very well be Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence, who in her wildest imagination would never have considered herself somebody to become vice president of Liberia, who may be the front runner to take that second seat, because what she can deliver the female votes. She can deliver the female votes to that ticket. She can also deliver the Bassa votes to that ticket. So her first constituency is Grand Bassa County and the Bassa Belt, and then also again the females of Liberia. Knowing a young woman from nowhere without any political ambition, just ordinary person, can get on that ticket and become vice president of Liberia.
Well, we
But
have.
what interests me more, big brother, what interests me more is as much as she can get on the ticket, I want to know what ideologies she espouses, what she stands for, what she wishes to bring to Liberia. I can say her on a daily basis if I know that she stands for something, she has a vision to deliver my people and to improve their material well-being, not just because she's part of my political party. Okay? So if she can do that, I will sell her. And she can tell me what she believes, and she can sell that her vision for Liberia. And this is what I want to accomplish, then we will sell her. So looking at that, the two front runners right now, we know what's going on. So based on what you're saying, I've heard from people within Cummings Party who are saying it's not true. Okay, I've received the text from people within Cummings office who say it is not true. So I don't want to be excited about something, but I'm also telling you that Liberty Party has the second largest constituency, and as a result, we are to be reckoned with, no matter how well you look at it.
Well, that's a disclaimer. My brother Tule has said that he's a Liberty Party politician. Obviously, as a partisan, he is actually still voting and promoting his party. So those of you who are in the CPP and fans of Cummings, you are in trouble. But let display the results for the poll and see what they say. Atule, you are the numbers man. Can you read what they say there? Who is the choice for the next president of Liberia? Let's look at 148.
And again, Alex Cummings had 50%, and Joe Bugger had 29.7%. Out of these, the number that were poor, Abraham Darius Dillon is not giving. There are two smaller slots or different candidate, Abraham Leader and Darius Dillon. So George Minor, we got 10.8%.
Well, obviously, we want to let our folks know that this is non-scientific. We are actually concentrating on Joseph Boakai and the vice president, but it's fine. And to my brother Tule, when he talked about the female candidate and gender balance, and that Yomi Kanga may deliver the woman's vote, we have a formidable woman that is presently serving as vice president of the Republic of Liberia, and she is a powerhouse, and we know that. And she herself can also deliver the women, as she has done in the past. But we have about 5 minutes to go here. And based on that, we would like for me to turn this thing over to you to actually tell me, okay, you want to do the primary? Okay, let's look at the primary. Did we just read this?
Yeah, we read that.
Okay, we just read this. Okay, so we got about 5 minutes here to go because I know we have another show coming. I would like you to put all this into a nutshell and give me your closing comments.
Yeah, but we also did not go to what we said we will always do. So at
Please
least
do.
The next show is at 6 o'clock. The next show is at 6 o'clock. We're just around 5:30, so we can go a little bit and look into some things that we know that is affecting our country. But before that, we can also wrap up on this issue we're talking about the CPP ticket. And like I said, things are still moving, so we can only commentate and we can only give a commentary on what we believe may occur. And like I said earlier, Cummings brings some uniqueness to the ticket. And if he accepts to go as vice president, it throws the entire arrangement into another rancor. They have to go and they have to be able to pacify Liberty Party and make some concessions to the Liberty Party to get Liberty Party to remain and committed to the CPP. Okay, because Liberty Party, like I said, constitutes the second largest constituency, and they can say, "Hey, we want more than what you guys are going to offer us," and they will be within their rights to make those demands. So if we look at it from that perspective, we can see yes. But then also again, Cummings as a person can get ahead of this. Liberty Party can remain obstinate and say this is our demand. Since we provide the second largest constituency, it's just right that the vice presidential ticket goes to us, and this is our demand. We want it, and nobody can say anything about that. It has to be the way they want it, because at the end of the day, they will
the CPP strength lies within the Liberal Party as much as Unity Party. So that's just that's they say okay, but this is what we're looking at, and not just closing statement, Mr. CA. We also wanted to take at least 10 minutes. The next show is coming up in 20 minutes. Yes,
Go ahead.
We'll be done in 20 before then. But one of the things that I've seen that is affecting our people in Liberia to a very great extent that will have long-term consequences if no policies are developed to jump ahead of this is the unregulated planting of cash crops in Liberia. It needs to be looked into. What am I saying by this? In Liberia right now, people go to plant rice, and within the rice, they interplant rubber. They go to plant rice, within the rice, they interplant palm oil. And as a result, that land that was used for food crop production is forever occupied now by cash crop. When the rubber or the palm oil grows, the land can no longer be used for food production. And it is happening at a very alarming rate. And because national government is not aware of this, they have no policy in place to say, hey, we will keep certain percentage of our arable land for only food crop production. Because we know our society to be an agrarian society. Cash crops are volatile in terms of pricing and all of that. What will sustain a nation is our ability to feed ourselves. And we as a people must be able to keep some of our land and our labor also to grow food, because it's very important. It's a national security issue. Or people that cannot feed themselves will rely on others, and they will determine how much we pay to be able to feed ourselves. So it is important. We spend almost 150 million yearly importing food into the country. If the government can create a policy and say within the next 3 years, we want to make sure that a third of what we use to buy rice outside to bring to Liberia is spent locally in our economy to buy rice from our local farmers and stockpile it and sell to our people, so that a third of what they consume on a yearly basis within 3 years will be produced locally. It will be a policy in the right direction. So what I'm looking at is the lack of governmental policy in terms of regulating where cash crops are planted. Okay, that we cannot just allow all our good lands to be planted with palm oil and rubber. Okay, rubber prices have been down for a very long time. People are still planting rubber. Palm oil, the prices can hold, but palm oil will not feed a hungry nation, because you have to sell palm oil and then go to the Chinese or the Indians or the Thais to buy rice from them. And when rice prices are up, you're using your foreign dollars to chase after rice to bring locally. That's 150 million maybe annually. Okay, if we say we target 50 million locally, do you know what 50 million will do in the hands of Liberian farmers? Just 50 million every year. After 3 years, we say, look, we want to encourage our people to go out there and farm, so we're investing in agriculture. I told Representative Great this. We're investing. If we clean up our act, if government can address the issue of corruption and address the issue of accountability and transparency, and they clean up the acts, there are enough enterprise funding out there in the world that will come to help Liberia accomplish some of these goals. But the people will not send their money where they know there is no accountability. The people will not send their money where they know there's no structure of reporting, clear reporting. Okay, I will say this. For 3 years, there have been no accountability within the WIA government. The key people have eaten enough. The city mayor, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of State, and all the other people, they've eaten enough. It's time that President WIA tell them enough is enough. You've built homes, you've bought cars, you've done everything you need to do. It's time now, enough is enough. We're stopping this here. It's time that whatever comes into this country is used for the upliftment of the common man. And that starts also with instituting and implementing an agriculture policy that doesn't only stop the planting of cash crops everywhere on all our arable lands, but also invest in agriculture so that we can tackle food crop production. Because people need to eat, and food is getting expensive yearly. Why don't our people are farmers?
by and large, in the hinterland, so we can work with them, institute policies, and get them planting farms so that people can have food. When the prices of food drops, it affects a lot of things in the country. That's just one of the things I want us to discuss. This issue of planting on non-regulated planting of rubber and palm oil on every arable land. Everyone who wants to plant rice now, when he purchases 2 hectares of land, he interplants it with rubber or palm oil. That land is no longer available for food production. It's gone. It happened within Bond County when I was there. Sunny district, and I think at Jokole or another district next to Sunny, they were forcing over a farming land. Sunny district have allowed most of their land to be planted with rubber and palm oil. So now they have to go into the nearby district, the neighboring district, to go and brush land there to plant rice. And people say, no, this is our land. You allow all your land to be to be occupied with cash crops. You'll go back and you'll wait for your palm oil or your rubber to grow so you can harvest it, sell it to buy rice. We will use our land here to grow rice because this is within our district. We don't want that thing to be replicated all over Liberia. And the major city, the major counties that are affected, that Bond, that Mimba, that Lufa.
Well, Mr. Tule, thank you very much, and thank you for mentioning agriculture, because there's a young man that I would like to profile. Hopefully, we can bring him on someday. His name is James Cully Galakwe. He's out of Lofa County. This young man is one of the smartest men that I have ever seen. He's less than 30 years old. He has about 1,000 acres of land. He's producing rice on an industrial level. He's also doing cocoa and coffee. And those things that we are talking about, he has actually segmented his property, his parent farm in Lofa County, into 3 different segments of 1,000 acres. And he is producing rice at a massive industrial level. And these are the folks that I think the government of Liberia should invest in more. He is doing everything basically on the manual level, and it is huge, massive. Wow. Now it's time for the government to intercede to make sure that he goes from, like we say, the manual level to now an industrial level farming, where we can now have, I know we have this other young man they call Japa doing very well, but this young man, while every young person is trying to come to Monrovia to live, this young man took upon himself, and he has produced one of the largest farms in the country. When I saw what the pictures that he sent me, and I sent people out there to actually verify what they were saying, and I saw it live, I could not believe my eyes. And hopefully next week we can contact him and he can come on. But this young man, he is a millionaire, multi-millionaire in the making. His name is James Cully Galakpai. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name. It's Galakpai. Galakpai, I think it is. Yeah, Galakpai. James Cully Galakpai out of Lofa County. And this young man is going to be the next multi-millionaire coming out of Liberia, and we need to support him. We need to profile him, and I think the government needs to invest in this young man. Now, as we go to the closing, one of the things you talk about the vice presidency is that if Liberty Party wants to send Nyobi Kanga, she has to give you a policy, something that she stands for. I will say, as a man from Bassa, I will say for the past 10 years she's been in the Senate, we have not seen any policy that she has put forward, any bill that she has written, anything that she has done that we can say, this is our new Avita, a woman who is coming out of Argentina that is coming to actually save her people. We have not seen that in Bassa, and if it is not done, like Tip O'Neill used to say, all politics are local. If you cannot do it on a local level, in your hometown, and we all do this because some of us are Christian, we say charity begins at home.
So what was she voted for? Let me ask you.
Well, when you ask Nyobi Kanga, why do you want to be voted for the second term when the first 9 years nothing happened? She said, I'm the only woman in the house and they want to get rid of me. So we are talking about gender politics to the zenith. And the same thing we're talking about gender equity. Someone says, I'm the only female in the Senate, and they're trying to get rid of me. Women, all women. They say women. Women, all women. We have to have representation there. They say they want to get rid of me, and the women, and we're never happy. If that is the policy that we are talking about, then we are also on the wrong track of development. I can see the vice president, Dr. Taylor, how she carries herself. When you visit this woman and talk to her, when you look at the intellect, the intellectual.
Can I ask you a question then? Why did your party, looking at all this, the party you support, why is it that they marginalized that woman, they've ostracized her, they've removed her from the political equation?
It's a perception. The woman is working with the president behind the scene. She's doing her part. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final points of our.
No. Let me make my point.
Mr. Tule, I know you want to continue.
We got 4 more minutes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. 4 more minutes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You and I skip this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you and I skip this. Your party. That's why I told you the two titular heads upon which the axis upon which the presidency rotates. George Samuel Twe and Nathaniel McGee. The two of them, I will not blame this on Representative Gray, but he's also part of the problem because he's the head of the executive within the House. He could have gotten ahead of this, and I will encourage him. I'm going to get in touch with him. He needs to stop this because Liberia does not gain anything from the marginalization of the vice president. Those two guys have tormented that woman. They ran that woman out of the country. She used to live in Ghana. It never occurred to you that your vice president was living in Ghana for almost a year or more. And it didn't bother you. She had to run basically for her life and her sanity. A woman that has so much to contribute. Because when you put that woman on the same scale with Judge Weah, it's like night and day. She's not trying to usurp his meal. It's just nothing but misogyny. Okay? The Twe, and both the Twe and the McGee, when it comes to experience and the ability to deliver, none of them can compare themselves to Joy Howard Taylor. That is the reason why they ran her out of the country. So when you're living in glass house, my big brother, you are living in glass house. Be careful how you throw stone because everything about you and the CBC, all right, will not stand up to muster. Everything about you.
Mr. Tule, thank you very much for such eloquent. But you can say all you want to say about Joelle, the vice president. She had never claimed to be a parked car. She never claimed that the CDC parked her in a garage for 3 years. She have never claimed that. So don't say.
But she was in exile.
The woman was in our house. This is our house. You're not in our house.
The woman was in exile, big brother.
You are not in our house.
Was in exile.
You are not in our house.
You chased that woman out of the country. The woman living in Accra.
You are not in our house.
It's
our house is working.
Is that the excuse that you have?
The woman loves where she's at. And she's
no, she doesn't love it. She doesn't love it.
You have never mentioned. One thing I like about you can quote. You have never quoted one place where she said she was parked for years. Yeah, but just like Boakai said, he was parked for 12 years and he lived on $5,000 loan. So we know very well that Dr. Taylor is very well, and she is going to beat anyone that you put up to say her.
Listen,
Dr. Taylor and any other woman, it will be a slash and burn. She will burn whoever you put in front of her.
My point there to you is that woman had one of the things that made me to say, oh, George Weah is in good hands, because I saw prior to becoming president, I saw the relationship between the two of them, and I was hoping that she would play a cardinal, pivotal role in running the country. But what happened? By the time they got there, his stooges, his proxies, managed to isolate him. They filled his head with so much lies, and he became insecure to the point that he ostracized his vice president. She had to run away from Liberia for her sanity and her life. She's back in the country now. Hold on.
You can
She's
say
back
that
in the country
1,000
now.
times. It doesn't make it right, and
But
that
it's
is not
the
true.
truth.
Listen. You are not in the CDC house. You are UPP.
Because guess what? I got people. Excuse me, sir. I got people that have worked in her office, giving me first-hand information about the goings on in Liberia. And to be honest with you, that woman almost lost her sanity. Okay, they didn't want to do that. Somebody was responsible for the death of Mabutu Yimpa. There are a lot of questions that you people must answer. So stop saying. We're closing now. We're closing now. So,
ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tule believe in Bigfoot, and we understand this. You see, he going on a tangent. Now he's going on. We are going to have a beautiful show next week Sunday. As you know, Mr. Tule, as articulate as he is, he always brings something to the table, and he's talking about solution, not just criticizing the government. He says that we need to look at the interpersons of crops. We have to separate the cash crops from the actual crops because down the line we will need the land that we call the new technology, the new technique or soil rotating. You have to rotate the soil. And if you are rotating soil every 3 to 9 months, you cannot plant oil palm that require 4 years to germinate or to mature. Or you cannot plant rubber, or you cannot plant coffee or cocoa. So it makes sense. Those who are into the agriculture policy, these are the things that we want you to listen to. You are hearing it from the opposition. You are hearing somebody who is even-handed, who is brilliant in the analysis of how we need to run our government. So this is something we're going to look at. Until next Sunday, we want to say thank you very much to our control specialists. We want to say thank you to our parent company, Focus on Liberia, and we see you next Sunday. As usual, they're going to end with this song that says, "We are all Liberian." Thank you very much, and see you next Sunday, same time.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.